Okay, I think we are live now. And of course, my son decides now to walk in the door.
Of course.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. Okay, go to your room. So typical. Anyways. Okay, so welcome everybody. This is our live show for our buddy read for August, which we read Sophie Lark, the Minx. And I'm really excited to hear what your guys' thoughts are. If you have any thoughts, always put those in the comments below. I had a hard time figuring out my rating for this one, but I did still enjoy it. I really loved it. Do you want to go around and kind of just give all our ratings and what we really thought?
Sure.
Who wants to go first?
Jessica does.
Is that me?
Wait, who's going first? Go
I don't know.
Member. Go for it.
I'll go first. Okay. So I'm like a huge fan of Sophie Lark. So I kind of bounced between what I wanted to do because this is really different than her usual stuff that I've read from her. I did really like it. I couldn't put it down. I just didn't think it was like blew me away kind of thing. So I was kind of bouncing between 4 and then like 4.5. I think I'm gonna get 4.5 because I just love Sophie so much. Her writing's really easy to read. I wasn't blown away by the characters or the romance or anything, but I actually like the part that made it boost to 4.5 was the pet play to me, which I didn't think I'd like. You guys might have totally different thoughts, but let me know what you guys think.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Who wants to go next?
Do you want Mandy, since we'll go down the thing?
Yeah, I don't know who you're saying, but call us out who you're saying in order.
Okay, Mandy.
So I also struggled with how to rate this. It was very different from the other Sophie Lark books that I've read. She writes really well, so it is very easy to read. You don't get like frustrated reading it, but I didn't really connect to the characters that much. So when we did get to like the pet play and like at one point you get to it and it's just like sex after sex after sex after sex in there. And usually in her books, I find those scenes very like spicy and intriguing. This time I was just like, So I don't know. If I was rating it specifically just on her writing, I would be at a 4, but connecting to those characters, I'm like, is it a 3? But then I think of other books I've rated as a 3 and I'm like, no, it's way better than those. So
yeah.
I'm still not really sure. I probably am going to do a 4, but it's not really a 4.
I know it's hard. It's hard to like do this
one. A pity 4.
What are you calling it, Mandy? What did you say? A pity 4?
A pity 4. Jen, I watched.
Yeah, I kind of think it's a 4, but I'm like doing a 4.5 because I love her. Is that fair? I don't know.
No, in one of Jen's videos, she talks about a book. I don't even remember what the book was, but it was so hilarious. She was giving things a pity rating.
Joanne.
So it feels better than a 3, but it's not quite a 4 to me.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of people giving it 6 stars, like 6 stars on Goodreads, and I'm like, I don't know. Like I really loved it, but I don't think it could be a 6 star to me. Like Bully was a 6 star to me, you know. Like I don't know. What about you, Jess?
I agree with Mandy, and I can see that Megan on here saying the same thing. I didn't know what to give it. I think when I first started it, I told Mandy, I said, if we weren't reading it as a buddy read, I probably would have DNF'd it. It was not, it was not my bag. It was not my cup of tea. It was not enough plot for me and too much of the sex once we really started getting going. I just need more than what we were getting here. And then we got into the kitty cat stuff, and I was looking at the cat in the house and just, I don't know.
You don't want to be pet like a cat and him praise you.
And then and then a few minutes like was reading it, and then like my husband came over and started trying to kiss on me. I'm like, I need you to go somewhere else. I can't have you around me while I'm reading this book right now. But I do like Sophie. It was just so different. But it wasn't, I don't know that it was different in a good way. It just wasn't for me. So I don't think it was a 3. For sure it was not a 3. But I don't think it was a 4 either. So
pity 4.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the pity 4 probably as well.
Is that gonna be the thing? Pity 4?
I love Sophie, and we can't wait to meet her in October, but this just wasn't typical Sophie. No. And I think she took a chance, and for some it's gonna work, and some it's not. The graphics were interesting, but we can talk about those as we get going. The graphics were that was just interesting. I can't leave that book laying around, let's just put it that way. So, you know.
What did you think, Jen?
It was just like a flat pity 4. I mean, it was. It just can't. It was.
No
plot.
No plot. Everybody's.
I was the same. Like, I can dive right in and fall right into Sophie's work.
Yeah.
Really easily. Which I did this time. I did get a little bored midway through when it was just constantly the sex. The cat play was interesting. I think it was interesting. It was more interesting like the first time she was like, when it was her first play with it and she was kind of getting into it. I kind of enjoyed that. And like, that's how the whole book name came about. And I was like, okay, that's
got it.
I want to say cute, but I'm like, it's interesting. I didn't realize it was going to become a thing. I really liked how their connection was. I mean, I don't feel connected to them, but I liked how their connection was, how they came from nothing, made themselves into what they were.
Yeah.
But it just kind of fell off at some point. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I'm just kind of ready for it to be over. But
I think my main thing too was like, it's like it had no angst. Like there was no angst in this. And I know some people don't like angst. So if it's like if you like low angst, simple, like kind of insta-lust kind of thing, I think it's a good book for that. But that's not how I am. I want like outside plot, outside things happening, or internal struggle of them being together. It was like they were instantly good. I did like the characters of like some 2 characters that are like so driven and ambitious and kind of can like manipulate people. I thought that was interesting how Sophie was kind of diving into that like overachieving kind of mindset. And I did like that, like, even though it was like constant sex, it was like there was a lot of deeper conversations happening and getting to know each other. So I appreciated that, because it could have just been like simple, just sex, which it kind of was. But so those were the good parts to me. But, you know, I don't know. It wasn't like as good as her usual stuff. I saw people kind of saying like the dialogue didn't really fit like the characters at the time, the stuff that they were saying. And so I could kind of see like, it was just different for Sophie, which I think that's part of the reason I was like, this is great, because she takes risks. She's always trying different things. She could just settle in doing the, you know, mafia and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate her taking risks. It's just not the same love of a book, the Sophie Lark book that I usually have.
Yeah. And that's going to happen when you take risks, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. Like that's all part of growing and knowing what your readers want, and, you know, trying different things, and that's how she's going to grow. So like, yay, for stepping out of that box, but let's not try that again. Okay. Because that was just interesting. So
did the pet play totally turn off everybody but me?
I wasn't. I mean, it was interesting. I like reading different things. So I mean, like, to see him go into it. I mean, it was just. I mean, like her batting the glass off the coffee.
Yeah.
Table. I mean, I was just
had my cat do that.
You're getting into it, okay? But it was like, I don't know. It was.
You know, I think it would be different if I didn't have a daughter who was like, hey, can I wear my cat ears? I mean, like, she's just coming out of that age.
She's like stage. Ariana Grande.
Yeah, she's just coming out of that stage. I mean, that was only about a year ago, where she was like, can I wear my cat ears to school? Which, not that she wanted to be a cat. She just liked her kitty cat ears. And like, you know, just, and like her tights, the bottom, the feet of them have cat things on them. And I just, you know, it's just a little little too close to home for me, just a little weird. So, I mean,
yeah, Megan didn't like it either.
Kinky stuff, but that was just a little too much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
that was the one thing that I was worried about in this book. Like, was I heard it had pet play, and I was like, usually I haven't liked it in the past because it's more like degradation kink thing, and I don't like degradation at all. And so I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. But it was more like praising and like the cat. Like, I don't know if you guys are cat people, but like, you know, the cat's like just luxuriating with the cat, which is really weird, but it kind of worked for me. I didn't like totally love it, but I found it different. Like, I hadn't read anything like that. So
yeah, and I agree with on here. Like, it didn't do anything. It didn't make it any better.
It didn't make it worse. Yeah, just like Megan said. Yeah, it's not better, but it didn't make it worse. It was interesting.
Yeah,
but I mean, I could have taken it or left it, but it was interesting. Like, it made the book interesting. So I mean, I appreciate that. But I did get a little bored with just the characters because I was something to happen. I wanted some kind of conflict.
Yeah, where's the drama?
And then their conflict was super fast. The conflict at the end was like literally nothing. And I'm like, honey, he just gave you millions of dollars. Shut up. And then the conflict was super, like, it was like immediately resolved. So it was kind of like, oh, like, and that was like the only conflict in the book. I'm like, so it was just kind of them get like character driven, like them talking, them exploring each other. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, I could see how that could be kind of boring, you know, for people, especially with what we're used to with Sophie Lark. It's like a lot more, you know, conflict and plot development going on. So,
or that like miscommunication where you're like getting irritated because it's right there, but if you just speak, and that didn't. I was just, I don't know. I wanted something more. So that's why
Joanna liked the pet play, so I'm happy somebody liked it besides me. Yay!
It definitely was therapeutic for them.
Yeah, like, and I see that. I understand
where
it was therapeutic for them. Like, I get it.
And the cat suit sounded really hot to me, like really sexy. And I was like, and the illustrations in this book were pretty crazy. The one, like, I almost wanted to post a picture of it, but I couldn't really do that on Instagram, was like of the Roadhead one. I was like, oh, God.
And I have the book, but I was reading it on my Kindle because I just got lazy and God forbid I got up.
Yeah, that's what I was doing too.
Mine is a fire, so mine were in color.
Yeah. I looked at them on my phone. They were in color and they were beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I mean,
they were better.
They were better.
Yeah.
No.
Because in the book they weren't in color, which kind of sucks. But
I wish you would do that. Like, I would pay extra,
or at least
illustrated.
give the option, right, to have like a exclusive that is in that, right?
That's what I said for Anastasia. I would pay extra for it to be in color because I had to buy it. I bought the copy and then I bought it off Kindle too, so that I could see the extra.
I did the same thing. And then, but the graphics were.
They didn't do it for me. Yeah.
No, I noticed with her graphics that they're kind of like, because I know she's like really into working out, her and her husband, but like they're very like kind of buff, like really like.
Okay, they're buff, but Mandy, what were you saying? That they were angular, the face, very cut,
very anime. Yeah.
Like, and I've noticed that with these illustrations that she's been doing in her recent stuff. It's like they are kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I didn't feel like that fit. There was no softness to them at all, like you'd see on a normal face. It was just very cut, sharp. So,
which makes their noses look weird. But I get that style of writing, or excuse me, drawing, is very popular. It's just not really my type of art.
Yeah.
No, because it kind of turned me off. Like, I was like, that's not pretty, or like that's not hot. The scene might have been okay, but the picture.
Well, and that's not how I pictured him at all. So I'm like, oh, this is taking me out of like what I'm picturing Ramses to look like. That's the problem with those, is like you have a vision in your head and then you see like illustrations and you're like, oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Like I remember she had illustrations come out, like, well, she'll have it for like Stolen Air and like stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I don't. That's not what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and then it bothers me. Then I have to keep going back and looking at what she has, and then it takes me out of the book because I'm like, but that's not what's up here, and then it messes me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't my favorite Sophie Lark, but I'm glad I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the music though, that you could like when you would
Mm-hmm.
tell you when to listen to it during that.
I
That
love
was
when she
fun.
does that and like all her books. Like I remember the duet of like the serial killer duet. Like there was like this song that she had in it for like the actual sex scene where it was like a very intense, like almost scary, like kind of situation. And it made the book so much better, like the whole scene. So I love how she does those Spotify playlists and like puts it in the book for certain scenes.
Yeah. I like when authors in general do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Penelope Douglas does that for some of her. I mean, there's several authors that do that.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of authors have playlists, but I haven't. This is the first book I've written where it's actually told you to play a song at a very specific part.
Specific time.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I really like.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I've seen one that had it for a specific time. So you're right.
It just was kind of like a fun little element to it.
Yeah, and I did think Joanna, like Joanna was saying about it, like the cat like thing being a therapeutic thing for them. I did see that too, like where it was like this kind of coming together. They can kind of escape and have this certain dynamic that was interesting.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, maybe I want a cat suit.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
want to be pets.
Yeah.
As my cat's like sitting right in front of me right now. I'm like, this is awkward.
Her cat suit reminded me, in the pictures at least, it reminded me of a bodysuit that a friend of mine bought from a Pure Romance party once. And I remember being so jealous because she had the body to actually fit it and make it look good. It was one of those mesh suits. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. And I'm going, well, I'm kind of jealous because I look like, you know, like dough being squished out of like every spot, but she can pull it off. So, yeah, because that's what it looked like, that whole outfit. So, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Then throw some cat ears on.
I thought that was interesting. Like, I haven't read a book with that in it before, so that was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
The first time, but then it seemed like when we had to go back and like do more scenes with it, I was like, I felt like that kind of took away almost from it being different, because then it became repetitive in the book a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can see like that was their thing to do. Like that was their escape from the.
What did you guys think of when she dominated him, kind of, where he was?
I liked it because I feel like a lot.
I thought it was different.
Like a lot of people who are businessmen and who are very strict and rigid in their everyday life, they get such a good release.
Yeah.
They realize that they want from somebody else being the dominating person.
You see that with a lot of these powerful men, you know, CEOs, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys ever watch like Billions, but like I love that show. And Paul Giamatti's character is like the attorney general kind of thing, and he likes to be like dominated and like have that control taken away from him. And I really loved those scenes. They were always so funny.
Because he's always in control at work, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
Always in control at work. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he can kind of suspend that control and get taken, you know.
And I feel like she needed that to be able just to like let loose. So I mean, like I like those kind of things.
Well, and I thought, wow, I wish I was an escort making millions of dollars. I'm like, oh my God, my
mathy brain though.
Girl, if I was an escort, I'd be a low-end escort, and we all know.
You'd be the chick that she walked by on the street where she was like, oh, these are my co-working girls.
I think that showed though, like just how great of a writer Sophie Lark is, because when she does that, was it Lucas? Her other guy that she had for a while, was that his name?
I can't even remember.
It was like Lucas and then the douchebag.
The one that she dominated, I think, was Lucas, right?
Okay, so yeah, so when she's doing that, like the way Sophie writes you're like turned off by it, and you're like, you know, his like he doesn't know what he's doing and all of that sort of stuff. But then when she wrote it at the end with him, it's like, oh wow, like, you know, so that I think just shows just how great of a writer she is, because she's writing basically the exact same scenes, but describing them so incredibly different that you feel very different about those.
Right.
Yeah, where she's actually into it with Ramses, where like you could see where she like, I liked how she just talked about how she would like kind of shut off and, you know, go to a different place. But like he was like, no, you look at me, like, you know, so he was making her like engage with him too, which I found really cool. But
I felt like that was weird on their first encounter that he's like, we're
yeah,
gonna be this couple where
I
we're
think he's just dominant.
I mean, but you know what I mean? Like she was a game at first, and I get that, but like for him to see that she's about to switch off and let her body do whatever, and like you know, her mind away, and then he's like, "No, it's right here," and I'm just like, "Okay, but you really haven't had any connection." So like that's why I don't feel that. And then this major connection happens and she starts crying. And I'm like, I understand that, but like I didn't feel like where
I kind of felt that like reading Dom sub books, like where you're in the subspace. That's what I was kind of feeling like. Maybe that's kind of what it was for her, because she's never put herself through it like that, and she kind of that's kind of what I was thinking. But maybe I read too many Dom sub
books. I know, because just
because I was like, oh, she's in subspace.
Yeah,
because
because
in the subspace.
Just the meeting, and then like just meeting in general and getting to that point, where was the attraction? Like that's where my thing was. I was like, why does he want her so bad? There was no,
it was just because she's so hot. Like,
like there was no connection for me. So that's part of the reason why too. I was like,
I kind of felt like it was them both being like career minded, like ambitious people, that's what kind of turned him on. Let me see if I have this quote, because
because it just kind of felt like it just kind of came out of the blue, like, oh, I saw her and she's hot, but it still felt like it was like
he goes in this, he goes,
her, I don't understand that. So it didn't feel like there was a connection right away.
I feel like it's like they knew each other, or they knew of each other, but that was the first
time. But he chased that down.
It was like love.
Well, like in the beginning, he was like, when he's being told about her, how like hard it is to get land with her, and he goes, a hooker with a business model. I kind of fucking love it. Like I felt like him watching her work a room, manipulate men, like kind of like work it how she needs to use it. Like he was like fascinated by her being able to do that. Because he's kind of like that same way. So I think it was like meeting like, and kind of, you know, that's kind of what I took from his original fascination with her. And then once he gets to know how she's actually intelligent and kind of using the insider trading kind of thing by using these guys to, I think that even suckered him in even more to her, because she was really smart and like using what she could to get to improve her life kind of thing.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that he is attracted to strength, and she just the strength. But I was just like, I don't know. There was just like a disconnect for me. Like I see where their relationship was, and I understand it, but like I didn't feel it, and I didn't see where it had progressed to that point where he's willing to like give her insider tradings of his own, like in his own.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I do, and let me help you out. Well, where did you? It's just all
where she freaks out about him giving her the money to hit her goal because she feels like he's like undervaluing her, but he was like trying to make her kind of a partner, but she like took it to like being bought. And I'm like, but you're an escort.
You are bought.
I was
you are like, but then I get her whole mentality, but then when he literally puts her like on his account where they're like, have all his billions, I was like, no, like I would not trust anybody to be like have my billions.
He said it like numerous times, and at least twice in the book, where he was like, don't trust anybody, including me. And I'm just like,
yeah,
I get what that means to you, that you're willing to do like that means, and you both understand what that means. Like I get it, but and I get where he was coming from, because he's like, I'm not buying you. I'm giving you what you want so that you can just, it's over. Like you don't, it's over. You don't have to be.
Yeah, like he saw her value of like being more than what she was doing and to be like an actual partner, but then she took it like a different way. Right. But then she was instantly regretful of her reaction, which I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Like at least you don't have the dumb chick that's going to hold on to like the anger and whatever. So I appreciated that, because sometimes third act conflicts like can really piss me off and like throw me off. But it's crazy because there was like literally no conflict throughout like the whole book.
I know.
So it was, you know,
that's when I'm like,
it was just weird
to drop. I'm like, what is going to happen? Because I'm waiting. I'm conflict. So where is it?
Like I thought, okay, it's gonna be with her ex that like she has all this drama with, and it was kind of like nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing kept happening,
or like
waiting for it.
Yeah.
But even the reason that her and the ex broke up was sort of weak, just because the grandma shows up and he says, "This is my friend." Like that isn't necessarily like unusual in a relationship if you haven't like put specific labels on something and started like and agreed to it. Like it could be just as much of a turnoff if he's like, "This is my girlfriend," and she's still thinking, you know, she's still
especially if she was an escort, starting out as an escort, he might be like, "Oh, how do I introduce that?" Like, so they tried to make him kind of villainy, but I was like, I don't know, like
I didn't really think that was that big of a deal. That seems like something you talk about. And then if he continues to not introduce you as his girlfriend, then you're like, okay, he is embarrassed by me. But one time in the slip of a moment doesn't seem like anything.
I think it was just, I think she just wanted to write like really kinky pet play stuff.
I think she, and she I think it was her thing going into like kind of erotic romance kind of thing, you know? And so I think it was, I enjoyed it. Like, I still enjoyed it. Like, I didn't think there was anything like horrible about the book. It just didn't blow me away like her some of her other stuff. But I mean, it's understandable when you're doing something new. So I mean, I didn't hate it. I just wish there was a little bit more angst in it. Like, I needed like a little something, like trying to keep them apart or, you know, internal stuff. I don't know, but it just kind of lacked that, you know, plot development kind of thing.
Even when she decides to drop, I'm going to keep calling him Lucas because I keep trying to flip through my book and see if I can find his name and I can't. So Lucas, the other guy, even when she decides to drop him, we don't have any of that internal dialogue or anything. He makes a comment and she's like, "Lucas, I dropped him like a month ago." And it's like, oh, okay. Like things that could have been more of a big deal that could have driven the plot a little bit more were just kind of swept under the rug.
Yeah, I agree with you because she had brought it up, but like before they went to the Hamptons, she brought it up and was like, "I dropped him and I can't wait to tell him. Like, I can't wait to tell Ramses. Like, when am I going to tell him? Should I tell him now or should I like trying to pinpoint like the best time to tell him because like how would he feel?" And then she doesn't tell him. It just like dropped and I'm like,
okay. I felt like it was used for part of the third act thing so that like when he gives her the money that like so then she'll be like, "Oh, he's trying to force me to stop," but like I already stopped. And so I felt like it was just used as that like third act argument. Like that's all it was for her to say, "Well, I already dropped my last client," and you know, that kind of thing. So it felt kind of whatever to me. And then the whole like side thing with like her sister that's not really her sister and like his friend hooking up. I'm like, is she trying to do like a different book for this? I was like confused because I was like, this is like random.
Yeah, they're getting their own book, aren't
they?
I don't think I know.
They're getting their own book. Briggs is getting his own book, isn't he?
It was either his own book or it was I just remember I saw at the very back of the Kindle where you could go and it was talking about their own book.
Oh, like a short story or whatever.
Short story or something.
Yeah,
because I know she's writing a book right now, but I think it's more of like a spooky thing because it's supposed to come out like I think in October. She's hoping, so I'm excited for that when that comes out. Her new release. I think she said she was like halfway done with it. So I don't know.
It's just a QR scan where it just says "wondering what happened on Briggs and Sadie's Wild Night." So it must just be like a little. Blurb.
I'm not interested. I didn't really like. He wasn't, I was like, "You're annoying. I don't like you."
He was kind of like the douchebag kind of character where he was acting like she was too ugly or whatever, or this or that. Like, where's the chick with the big tits?
Okay.
I kind of felt like I had gotten enough porn plot throughout for today and yesterday. So I was kind of good. I didn't feel the need to have that.
I didn't even look into it. I was just like, "Oh, okay, I'm done."
Yeah, I agree with Megan.
Like,
Yeah,
if
I'm not
you
reading it.
want big tits and blonde and all these other things, like, why
Yeah.
can't you do it yourself?
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't need it.
go
I
find yourself.
just needed a little more. I need a little more drama, which is why I read. I need a little more drama. I need a little bit more to my characters.
Yeah, and I wanted to feel a connection. Like, I really didn't connect with them very much, so that's why it's the pity.
But you know, I knew it was typical Sophie, because I'd be reading and I'd be like, okay, I'm so not into this, and all of a sudden there'd be like a line or two, and I'd be like, oh,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you know, it would like suck you in for a minute, and then so it was
like
Sophie.
I love
that's the thing with Sophie is her writing is so easy to get into, where like you can read it in a day, like because she sucks you in, and I'm like, okay, like I'm just flying through the book. It feels like easy to get through. So it wasn't like, I honestly felt like when we first did the Megan Quinn one, like I could barely get through that. Like, so I at least with this, Sophie's writing was engaging, and you know, I don't know.
I always know what I'm going to get with Sophie's writing, and I know that it's going to be like easy for me to get into. I'm never going to have a problem with her writing.
Oh, Megan.
So Megan gave it a 3.
Yeah,
that was generous.
Yeah, that was
I know. I thought
I
was being. I'm like, I think I'm being too like a much of a Sophie stan, and that's why I'm giving it a higher rating, because you know I just love her. It's kind of like when we read the San Mariano one. It was like, I love San Mariano, but this book was not. Like, it's probably a 3.5, and I think I gave it like a 4 just because of San Mariano.
It's hard. It's hard to read them when they're like this. Like, I like the writing style. I like Sophie's style. I like that she took a chance. It just didn't
We
work.
needed more.
But
we
I
just
think
needed
about
more.
the books that I've given 3s to, like Mandy said, and it's not
that.
It's not on that level.
Yeah.
I couldn't
need to go back and move some 3s down to 2s.
I know. I think I'm too nice sometimes on Goodreads. You know, like I think I'm too nice. I'll give like generous kind of rating because I don't want to be like totally ruthless to an author. But like if I give something 2 stars on Goodreads, I'm pretty pissed. But you know, I don't know. Like,
but Mandy and I just gave it or just did a Convincing My Bestie series, and it was a second Alien one, and I realized that I am harsh on my Alien books. Like, I was giving them like 2 stars. I think it's because I'm embarrassed, or at least I was when I first started reading them. So I give them like 2 and 3 stars, and those are the good ones. But yet something like this, I'm not willing to go below a 4, which it just blows my mind that it's the way I look at things on Goodreads.
We should do an alien romance soon. Or a monster romance. She
has to read one soon.
Along the line, we have to get Mandy to read one.
I know.
I think I'm going to mark this in the comments for Goodreads a 3.75, and then I'll rate it a 4, and then that will be my own personal cue that the 3.75 means like a pity for.
I know. I'm still in my head going 4, 4.5, 4.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just a 4. If I have to struggle that hard to like figure out what to rate it, it's not. It should be the lower rating probably.
Jessica here says she gave it a 3.5. So we're not in the minority. I mean, we're thinking about the same as most.
Yeah. So I think we've done that the whole time. All of our books, we've all been pretty close since we started doing these.
I think when Mandy and I were talking earlier, just before we got on, I was like, I'm worried that we're going to be like, this is a 3. And then you guys were going to be like, this is a 10. Like, that was the consensus. Like, because it's Sophie, right? Like, that was
I was worried I was going to be the only one, like,
separated.
I was worried I was going to be the only one that was like, oh, it was still good, though. Like, you know, like, loving it because it's Sophie.
But it's very interesting.
Oh, and Joanne gave it a 4 too. So I think we're kind of, you know, around the same area here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just shocked when I saw like people giving it 6 stars. I was like, I love Sophie, but I don't know if it's one of her 6-star books. Like
I wonder if they've read any other of Sophie's work, because
they might be Sophie stans. Like, you know, they might be like me.
I've never read anything by her, and I could see giving a higher score if I'd never read anything by her, because her writing is just so good.
There were a couple that I saw that I know are Sophie stands, and they even said that they were Sophie stands.
Okay, yeah.
So, those are the ones that gave her, like.
Yeah, I think so.
Listen,
which is totally fine. It's totally fine if you feel it's a 6-star.
Yeah,
that's great.
If you loved it, more power to you. Reading is subjective. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
it just didn't work.
Because I tried to reread Haunting Adeline and I DNF'd it again, you guys. So
did you really?
Yes.
Wait, I talk about that for a second, because when I saw that you did that, I was telling my husband, I said the sad thing is like she DNF'd that, so she'll never read Hunting Adeline, which I believe is just
I hated the writing.
Right?
Like, I hate the writing.
Better. I like the writing. So are you gonna try any other of her books?
I don't think I'll ever read one of her books again. Like, honestly, like it was freaking torture. It was torture for me. Like the lines, the writing was like so bad to me. I was like laughing out loud to like him being dominant. You know, I pushed myself to get to 60% and I was like, I can't do it anymore.
Okay, that's a good chunk of the book. That is a thick book.
Yeah. So. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. This is way too long. It's dragging it out. I don't care about these characters. I don't care about the plot. I don't like, it was just, and it just kept piling stuff on like to make it more dark or more, and it just felt like forced to me. So it's like, and I love dark romance. So it's not like, I just, and I don't get the Zaid love. I'm like, I don't get it.
That's fine because there is another very popular author that we mentioned. It was actually brought up today when we were talking about next month. Jen, you brought it up. The one that you said has a book coming out. Mm-hmm. Do you remember who it was? And I was like,
I didn't like her for the first book.
I've read 3 of her books. I can't do it.
I read one of them and I didn't like it.
It's her writing style.
It was in her trilogy. The first book, I didn't like it. They say that the second book is better. I have a follower that's always like, just read the second book. I'm like, maybe. But like right now it's not on my, I don't want to.
And it's writing style. And they're so popular.
Yeah, they are.
Writing style. It's right. And so it doesn't always work. And that's okay. We still love you. It is okay.
Yeah. But
it sucks because
I get where you're coming from, right? Like, I feel like the house, there's like certain things could have been explored. Like, I feel like
I have not read this yet, so don't give away any spoilers. I want to read it sometime.
I think you'll hate it, Mandy.
Really?
I'm dying for Sibby's book, though.
Letters, like, I feel like they could have gone away. Like, and then seemingly her house is alive. And that didn't go anywhere either.
Story.
And I wanted, and that like
or his sex trafficking thing, but then all of a sudden it's almost like demon worship, sacrifice. I'm like, okay,
because you won't. Yeah, you didn't get far enough, so you can't say nothing about that. But I will say that the house.
It was dumb.
The house
was
far enough.
It wasn't
far enough.
You didn't get far enough.
The sexual encounters were cringe. His lines were cringe. Her writing was cringe. Like the whole time, I was like, I have a vlog. I haven't edited it yet, so I will be posting my vlog where I ran.
Wait to watch that video.
Okay,
you know what my favorite line is from that book?
What? Was she creamy?
At one point, she says to him, I don't even know your last name. And he says, it's Meadows, baby. Our last name is Meadows. And I'm like, yes!
Or like Ray tells her, call me God. I'm like,
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I tell him whatever he wants.
Yeah, anything.
No.
Okay, Jen, the most interesting part of this conversation was when you said that you told your husband this.
Oh, yeah. What?
How does your husband react to this? Does he listen and engage with you?
He thinks I'm absolutely insane. Like, okay, so I am obviously the reader. He does. I don't think he's ever read an entire book in his life. So he doesn't understand reading, but I would tell him, I remember reading this book, and I was telling him about it. And I told him, I was like, this is completely effed, and I don't know why I really like it the way that I do, but like certain things I could leave the house and the backstory of the grandma or whatever. Like, you could have told that in a different way. I didn't need the letters. But kind of tied into something in the second book, so I get it. But I didn't need that. It was the story of them, and you needed that to get to the second book. And once we got to the second book, I remember telling him, I was like, do you remember me telling you how effed up this first book was? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that was child's play compared to this effed up book. Oh my God. And so I was telling him, I was like, do you remember when I was telling him? He was like, yeah, I would read him passages. Okay. He's just like, what are you reading? Like, this is the stuff that you read. And I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Joanne, I'm
like,
right there with you, Joanne.
He's never going to read Hunting Adeline because of Sibby. Thank you, Joanne.
Yes.
Because I was like, and you won't get Sibby. Who is completely
unhinged. Is like the
star
of that book.
Every time she would come into there, I would start cackling because I'm like, I love this crazy bitch. I love her. I cannot wait
as much
for
as
her
I
book.
loved Zaid, Sibby was the star of that show, and she only had, small little tidbits here and there. But
and then she just walks off with her henchmen, and I'm like, where are you going? I need her. I need her.
I cannot wait.
No.
Yeah. See?
Nope.
So you didn't even get to meet Sibby.
I don't care. I hated the writing.
Okay,
and I tried and I pushed myself. I'm like, I'm gonna finish this freaking book.
You know what? You get a chocolate bar for tonight. It's okay.
A big gold star.
I am in the minority, so I'm definitely in the minority. It's something I didn't connect to. It didn't hit for me.
You know that there's a lot of books out there that just they don't always work.
Yeah.
You guys love the Sarah Kate stuff. I can't stand it. It is what it is,
You guys are gonna hate me probably for this one. But I love Carrie Ann Cole. But the last book, Asher's book, I DNF because I got so mad about that heroine.
Mandy,
and I was like really devastated too because
look at Mandy. Look at Mandy.
I really felt bad because I loved that whole series and I loved him from because I first read them in Torn, and I was like, and that's what got me into that series. And I loved him. And I was just like, this man has been devoted to you by your side. I made me so mad. I think I ranted really bad on Goodreads about that, but I know I ranted to my mom multiple times and she doesn't even know what the series is, but so I know you guys love Carrie Ann Cole, which I do, but I didn't ever finish that book.
I haven't read that one, but I do like her writing. I like her writing.
I love Carrie Ann Cole. I've read everything she's written. I agree. She can't write a bad book.
Which I need to read No Tomorrow still. Because I know you guys were talking about that. I haven't read it yet.
You haven't read that? That book shatters. No Tomorrow?
Yeah, I need to read it because I think I saw on your guys' your favorites or whatever, or maybe the book boyfriend, and I was like, I think you guys might have both had that. I don't remember, but I was like, I need to it's been sitting because I have it on Any Play too, and I'm like, I need to listen to this but it's just been
angst.
Good, yeah.
This will make up for Minx not having angst. It has more angst in that book than
but first you have to finish The Surviving Trace.
Yes, I'm listening to that, right? It's actually on my TBR, because I'm doing that romance readathon. So I was trying to put some historical ones in there, and I was like, ooh, and I see you guys talk about that in a ton of videos. Yeah. And so I was like, I have to read this. So far, I've never read Kalia Reed, and I'm loving her writing. It's so she's really good. So I'm excited to find a new author, and it'll be fun.
I'm gonna read The 16th Need this month.
Yes, she's just such a good author. She needs more. She just needs more of a following because she's amazing. And doesn't have a huge following. Her and Karen Crompton are both amazing authors that just don't have a huge following. And they both don't have a ton of books out, but they are amazing authors. You'd never know it. So I'm in the middle of one of Karen's books right now that I'm just loving. It's just been a rough week for reading, so I haven't finished it. Normally I would, but I haven't yet.
And Keller Reed, so she has the Surviving Trace and her Belgrade Dynasty books that are the historical romance feel. And she has two about Fairfax, which are
Right here.
One character is briefly mentioned in The Surviving Trace at one point when Serene is back in our time. But Unravel and Unhinged take place in Fairfax, which is a mental institution.
They're awesome.
And they're so different from her other writing.
Anything like it.
Yeah, you could read those 2 books and then The Surviving Trace. And if somebody's like, is this the same author? You would be like, no.
Wow.
So that's funny because when I was reading Surviving Trace, so like, just so you know, like in our like Discord on the Romance Readathon, they're like, that's like a series, because I was reading the first book and I was like, oh no, it's probably going to leave off on a cliffhanger and I'm going to be like, have to go right into the next one.
You do. There's 3 books.
Yeah, trilogy.
It's 3 books. I mean, it's not a series, it's a trilogy. It's 3 books.
Oh, okay.
But at the end, I think it's at the end of the first book. So pay attention to this, because at the end of the first book, when Serene ends up talking to one of her brothers and she mentions Fairfax.
Okay.
So that's where.
So that'll lead into that other books.
But it's like a little tiny blurb where it's
very,
mentioned.
very tiny spot. But
you don't have to have read that at all to read the 2 Fairfax books.
You could almost miss it.
Huh?
You could almost miss it if you didn't know to look.
Yes.
At it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you recommend reading Surviving Trace before Unhinged and Unravel, or Unravel?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter.
Either way.
Both of these are standalone. I mean, well, no, they are. They're standalones. And they're smaller than the 16th Need as far as length goes. So, but I
would recommend reading them in order though, because Unravel talks about the character that's in Unhinged, so you kind of understand the character a little bit more. You could definitely read it without, but you'll have more information going in if you read Unravel first.
Yeah. And I started Unhinged. It's been a rough couple weeks, so I haven't had the bandwidth to.
Well, and I saw you guys like on your best of the month from like last month. I think you guys both had like Callie read, so I was like, okay, I need to read her
because we love her.
You guys have been talking about it for a while. I've had her. I'm like, I've got to read that, but I wanted to read a standalone before I read the trilogy. So
the 16th Need is really good too, though. I mean, her books are all so different, but the 16th Need is very good. I loved it.
She's very descriptive. And like I said, she even has, if you look up her name on Pinterest, she has Pinterest boards for all of her books because she's so descriptive about everything that she's describing, like at Belgrave and, at their house and the costumes and stuff in there. Because it's not.
Yeah. Like I just got back to the part where she's basically gone back. She's met Etienne, like spent the night where he like destroyed her dress or whatever and all that kind of stuff. And just like the descriptions of like the house, and all this stuff.
Yeah. If you go in, she uses an old plantation house that was in South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's got a different name, but go to her Pinterest, put in Callie Reed, go to her page. She has one for each of the books. You can see some of the costumes. She even has one that is for costumes that she describes in the books.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's so much work for, like, I know I saw like something where Juliet Cross does that too, where she does these full like boards for like her Stay a Spell series kind of thing. I think I saw something like that and I was like, that's pretty cool. Like it's a good way of an author to kind of plot out or like how their book looks and stuff.
Yeah, because I'm visual, so it helps me. Like I'm pretty visual. So yeah.
Jen, the 16th Need kind of has Boys of Toman vibes a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you really like it.
Oh, that's the series I need to start too. I said I wanted to read the first book before the end of the year. I
literally almost fell off my Peloton. I mean, like I had just clipped on and I always scroll while I'm writing and it was the first thing that pops up and I was standing because I always get adjusted and like crack my knees and everything. I'm like, and I start screaming, and I'm like, I had to sit down because I almost fell off, clipped in on my bike. And as soon as I saw Gypsy and Claire, I was like, oh my God.
I think I got that message because, Mandy and I are on this. We see, right? You guys know that. Like, we use the same account for our thing.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm in California. I'm at the hospital, and I'm like, Jen's falling off her Peloton. What's
Yeah, I mean, I really did. I was like, oh. I mean, I jerked. I had to.
What is going on?
I don't think
she was excited because Chloe Walsh finally announced who the next book is going to be about and when it comes out. So that's what all the
I
excitement
was not
is.
excited about when it comes out, but I was
No.
excited. Oh my God.
Yeah, see, I've never read Chloe Walsh either, so it's like I need to start like reading some of these new authors to me,
Well,
you know, like I need
don't
to
have to start anytime soon, Amber, because it ain't coming out till April of next year. So
Yeah.
you got
These two, they love it, but I don't have the desire.
They're really thick books, so that's why I was like I was like, ooh, that's a thick one. But I just reread Shanna for the readathon, and it was 670 pages.
Historical one, right?
Yeah, and I read it like it's Kathleen E. Woodiwiss, and it's like from the Bodice Ripper, time. And I remember loving it as like a kid, which it's kind of crazy the stuff that I read by Kathleen E. Woodiwiss as like a kid. But I was like, oh yeah, this didn't hold up the same. It's so long. I'm like, it could have been 250 pages shorter. It's just, but I still liked it. I think I gave it like 4 stars, but she's one of the most irritating heroines you'll ever read in your life. So, a lot of people like DNF it because she's over descriptive too, where like everything's really,
almost 700 pages of an annoying heroine. I'll pass.
Yeah, she does have a good character arc because she does, realize her ways, but you're going to get mad. Like, I'm like, this girl is so stupid and selfish, but.
Like, I read a historical this last week that had me questioning my intelligence because of the words they used. So I don't know that I would have been able to do it as a child because I was like,
yeah, I can't believe I read that. I'm like, that's a long book for like a junior high kid to like read. I don't know why I did that, but like she was my first like kind of finding historical romance, which she's like one of the first historical romance author kind of things. So, and I read my favorite book of all time is like The Wolf and the Dove, and that has like full on sexual assault like on page, happening multiple, and I'm like, I can't believe I
read that as a kid.
And it's like I've reread that so many times. I think that's where my dark romance love comes in, probably because historical romances are so like different now than they like back then. It was a lot of like non-con in these historical romances. So and now they're not like that at all. But
no. So
I remember in middle school reading V.C. Andrews. You guys remember that?
Yeah, Flowers in the Attic.
I mean, but like all of those series because there were so many off. Like I read all of the Flowers in the Attic, and then like all of the other ones. I mean,
I remember
did I have reading that.
I remember all the girls in our class reading it, but I was reading The Color Purple and Alive.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I wasn't reading that. That wasn't my thing. And even then I just went home and watched the movies.
Yeah. Oh, the movies I feel like were I don't know. But no, I remember writing them because people would be like, What are you reading? I'm like,
it's like she was doing the Kay Webster thing. But like all that, because I remember on like Lifetime they were showing this other series that she wrote, Dawn or something, I don't know, and it was like another brother sister thing, like almost, and I'm like, because she wasn't really his sister, but they grew up brother sister, and then they end up getting married, and I'm like, wow, V.C. Andrews is really into that.
Yeah, she had like it would be like a family tree, like there's like this huge family tree, and you could read all like just certain. It was really weird, and so I read so many families of that. But yeah, like all the Dawn ones, I'm just like, what business did I have at a very young age reading any of that nonsense? Okay,
I know.
Yep. So,
maybe I should bring up the book that we're going to read for the next
and the date.
month. Okay, so we decided we want to read a dark romance. We're going to read Pam Godwin's Deliver. It's just Deliver, right? For the first book?
So the first one, Deliver.
Yeah. So I think the first one's just called Deliver. I think you can still, like, you can get on Kindle for free for the first book. So you should be able to get it there. But it is dark because it does have more of the, like it's sex trafficking, that kind of stuff. So just hopefully you guys will want to read that with us.
It's really good. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
She was a lot more mainstream, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kay Webster goes into a lot more detail.
You know what? We were a lot more. Our parents. They had to have a reminder.
They didn't have social media either.
And they had to have a reminder to know where their kids were at 10 o'clock at night. They weren't paying attention back then.
Yeah.
Like but yeah.
Did you read Untamed yet? Because I just got it in the mail.
No, because it ends on a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger.
And I until I get the art for the other half. So,
I wonder how long it's going to take for the next one to come out, because I don't want to be stuck on this cliffhanger forever.
October.
Me either.
I think it's October.
I read that she was hoping for early October. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I read it though.
Yeah, I'm going to read that next. So I'm hoping I don't get too frustrated with the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It's a cliffhanger, but the book is very different than what I thought it was going to be about, based on The Wild and the Free.
Yeah.
And how it ends. It's not a cliffhanger that you're going to be like, I can't remember what happened. You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know exactly where everything left off.
They'll just want it all in one foul swoop. I can't do it. I just need it. I need it all together.
Aww.
Yep. See,
I know. But you're not going to forget what it is.
Yeah, I saw I saw people like giving it like a lower rating almost because of the cliffhanger, and then like not knowing it was going to be a cliffhanger. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to give it a lower rating, but because of that, but you know, my thing was that I've gotten on a tangent about with authors is like, I signed up for an arc thinking it was a standalone. It didn't have, it was not like, you know, shown as a series, a duet, anything. And like the whole pacing in the book was like off. And I'm like, there's no love in this. It's like kind of hate to love, forced marriage, mafia stuff. And I'm like, where's the romance? And then all of a sudden it like did like a cliffhanger and then like a time jump of like 5 years later. And then it's like part of a duet. So like I was pissed because I'm like, if it's a duet or a series, market it that way. Like, so we know that it's going to be a series. Cause then I went in with certain expectations that were not met. So, but I signed up for the arc for the second book. So
well, there you go.
It got me.
Don't make me panic. So our next live show is on what date did we say?
The 17th, right?
I think September 17th.
Yeah.
On Jen's channel.
Yes.
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 Like, we'll
have to think about that.
Yeah.
I really had to think because I was like, oh yeah, September. Yep, that's fine. Yep.
So what's everybody reading right now?
I am finishing. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jen.
I am finishing Dismount, and then I'm gonna read Until I Get You.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
By Claire
What's Until
Contreras?
I Get You? Who's that?
Claire Contreras. It's good.
It's a dark and it just
there's barely any hockey. There's mentions of hockey.
I don't really care about the hockey. I don't.
It's so good.
I just want the dark.
It was good.
It's good.
Was that the one you talked about, Jess? The one that was dark and hockey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mandy, it's the one where he and her they meet, they're together. He plays hockey. There's a few that I've talked about hockey, but Mandy and I both read this one. She read it first. And then she has like a stalker. And so she leaves and then he finds her 3 years later or a few years later. And then he's mad. And so he is not nice.
I want to read that.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it.
I have like the next in the series downloaded. So.
Megan is reading Deviant Hearts. Jagger Cole is a new favorite of mine.
Cole, right? Yeah.
Oh my God. That's what I was almost going to say the next one for like one of our reads, but it's part of a series. Like I just read him because Jen from the Book Refuge was like reading him during the Mafia Readathon. And I've been getting arcs of his books and I freaking love it. Like I think is Deviant Hearts the first one in that series? I'm thinking it is. And that's like, I just read like the most recent one that he just released and they just, every single one of them is either like a 4.5 or like a 5-star read. They're so good. Like, I love it. So I want to dive into his backlist because he's got a lot of books.
Amber, have you read any, or not Amber, Jen, have you read any of his yet?
No, but she keeps saying so many good things about him. And I'm like, I really need to put him on.
Yeah, I like reading a male author, you know, like a male author, like it feels more like, I don't know, like it just hits.
I think that's probably why I did it because I'm like, a male author writing.
Yeah.
Joanne, I read Pucking Wrong Number. I loved it. I thought that was awesome. I know it wasn't for everybody, but I loved Pucking Wrong Number.
Who's the author of that one? Do you know? There's
I
so
can
many pucked in the title that I get like confused.
It's C.R. Wells. It's somebody that we're going to see when we're in Vegas. I think it's
Okay.
C.R. Wells. Joanne, who's the author? I can't remember off the top of my head. We're on my phone, so can't remember.
Good. I'm happy you're loving it.
Yeah.
So what are you reading?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading Lyrics of Her by Karen Crompton. I'm in the middle of that one. So that is.
And it's C.R. Jane.
Oh, C.R. Jane. It was C.R. something. So I'm in the middle of that. That is the one where he's a rock star and she's like down on her luck. And she like down on her like, struggling, whatever. And she accuses
musician
him.
Is the word you're looking for.
Thank you. My brain wasn't functioning. She accuses him of plagiarizing her songs, and he is like this rock god.
Oh, so, I think I've heard about that.
Mandy loves it. Yeah, it's one of Mandy's favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the middle of that one. So that's where I'm at.
What about you, Mandy?
Well, I just finished Minx, obviously, and I'm not sure what I'm
Did you guys read it like right before the live show? Because I like read it like earlier in the week, and I kept like looking on Goodreads to see if you guys were reading it because I was like curious.
Because I was in California, I didn't read much this week because I was out of state dealing with all that stuff, so I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't. Yeah.
I had every intention of starting it. I think I told Jen I was starting it, so I wasn't reading it, but I don't know. I was finishing something else while I was starting it, and so I just kind of ended up finishing it like today.
Yeah.
Megan just said she just read Lyrics of Her, and it was so good, 5 stars. I am so glad that you read Karen's book. We love Karen. We met her in Seattle this spring, and she is becoming a fast friend, and we just love her personally. So I'm glad that you
have it right here.
Her. I have it too, but I got the new foil cover because they have them at that new store in Australia. So
I just asked her, she's working on Kale's book and he is giving her problems. So she's hoping to have it out before the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think she said it had to come out before the end of the year.
I think that's what she said. And you guys were messaging while I was gone. I was just reading them. So yeah. She's awesome. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Yeah, she watches all of our videos too. So
it's always great when you watch somebody read their recommendations. Like it's fun.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
It's the best. It really is.
Did you say what you were reading, Amber?
I'm reading his Pretty Little Burden by Nikki Harris. It's in this like mafia series she has. It's set in Australia, which I found really like cool. I never read like Australia mafia.
It's a duet,
and I fell in love with this series. Like the first book, I think I gave 4 stars, but Cosa Nostra, I gave like 6 stars. I like cried multiple times in that book, which was. And I don't cry. So I say I don't cry, but the last couple of months, I guess I was more emotional because I cried in Sea of Ruin. I cried in Dark Notes. So I'm really excited to continue. And this is like an age gap. And like his enemy's like daughter that he didn't know about, and she's pregnant, and he kind of like she lands on his doorstep. So I'm loving it so far. Yeah, like it's so good.
A month or 2 ago, but I didn't realize it was a part of
like a series.
Yeah, the series, I think it's called The District or Kids of the District.
Yeah.
And so I just started reading that, and then it's like part of a duet. Again, I didn't realize that as I was reading it. And then I was like, I think I'm missing a few things here. So I didn't get a high rating. So I need to go back and read the other ones and then continue on with it. So
yeah, because I watched Jem from the Book Refuge like talked about this duet, and she didn't go in like at the beginning, and because she liked the way the tropes and the things that this sounded, and I was like, oh, that looks good, but I'm like, I have to go to the beginning. So then I went and started there, and so I'm kind of glad I did because there's all this mafia stuff that's an ongoing, thing how they do in series. So
yeah. So cool.
Okay. Well, we've talked for an hour so far. That's the usual.
Yes.
The usual. And we
So
drank
hopefully everyone will, join us for Deliver, and then we'll read a dark, dark romance. I'm really excited to finally read that one.
I love Thorn Godwin, so I'm down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I think I've only read Dark Notes by her.
Yeah, I read like only 3 books of hers, and so every one of them I've loved, and I'm like, I need to read like her whole backlist. Like she
read all of her books, I think, except for 2 on her backlist. So, and I hate love triangles, and I even read her love triangle.
Yeah, I have the first book in that one because it was free on Kindle, and I'm like, I'm afraid to go into it because then I'm gonna get sucked in, and it has like, I don't know if it's a 3-book thing or duet.
You need to read it before. So when we start Deliver is like a 9-book series, and she even has an disclaimer at the beginning of the 9th book saying, if you're going to read this, if you ever want to read that trilogy, you need to read that trilogy before you start this book. And so that's
the 9th book, right? The 9th book. Okay.
The 9th book. So, you got a few books in between. You're good.
I'm good. I got time.
The first book, right?
Yes, we're just reading the first book. I'm just saying that, like, when she gets the bug, because she will, just to keep that in mind.
I've heard the 2nd book in Deliver is even better, which people were shocked by because he's kind of like the villain, and that it kind of blew
me a villain. I love me a villain.
Yeah, so I'm like, we're gonna love. I'm gonna love that one too. I think so. I probably want to go right into the next one.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So don't forget to read Deliver before we see you guys back on the 17th.
Yes.
Yay. Anything else you guys want to say before we go?
No. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Jen's channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.